We're live. It's been a while.
It has.
Yeah.
It's been quite a while.
Right. It's
I
I've
mean, you have a family to raise, so it's all good.
yeah. I mean, I've done quite a few videos since our last video, but I always this is like one of my favorite things to do is this show with you, just because we've known each other for quite a while. So it's just like we know our tastes very and our kind of like our ins and
Our
outs a
our,
little
our
bit.
tastes mesh, but then there's times where uh, you inspire me to watch something I would never watch, or I inspire you to watch something you like Italian horror. You
Exactly.
never thought about watching Italian horror, so I started talking about it.
And I just what I bought a bunch of like Jess Franco movies. I never would have ever bought his movies before. So it's like um so we you messaged me and asked if I had seen this, and I'm like, no, I have not. The movie for today is Exorcist Believer, and I've never seen it, but I kind of like didn't seek out to watch it because I heard some stuff about it and everything.
I heard so much crap about this movie, and I don't understand why. I mean, I love I've told this. This is going to be like the kabillionth time I've said this on anything. I saw the original Exorcist in 1973 when I was 6 years old with my mom at the theater, and so it's always been a favorite movie. You know, and
Mhm.
yes, it has some. It had Heretic, the second movie, isn't all that great. But then I haven't watched that probably. I have the Exorcist anthology box set. It's got
Okay.
like Exorcist, Exorcist 2, Exorcist 3. It's got the two different prequels, Dominion and whatever the other one's called.
Yeah, I know.
and
I'm like, I'm like, I know
and
Dominion, but I'm like,
with the
trying to think.
exception of yeah, with the exception of Exorcist 2, I like all of the Exorcist movies. I really do. You know, I need to go back and watch Exorcist 2 because I don't want to be bagging on it. Who knows? Maybe my taste has
Right.
changed in the last, whatever.
No, I get that.
But when I heard that they're putting out a new, yeah,
oh, I was just saying,
go ahead.
I've never really got to see any of the sequel. Like, The Exorcist is like one of the last horror franchises that I've yet to like conquer. So
Okay.
I've seen obviously the first one, and then Believer, like we're about to talk about here in a little bit, and then I think I've seen the one with Stellan Skarsgård. That's the one that I've seen?
So here's the thing: Stellan Skarsgård is in both prequels.
Oh, is he? Okay. So I don't know which one
So
I've
they
seen.
they made yeah, they made a prequel. They made a prequel, and the the company just wasn't happy with it. They go, "Oh my god, we dumped a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of money into this. This is crap. I don't know what they watched." Um, but they go, "This is crap. We're not releasing this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fire the director, and then bring in somebody else, and then that director is going to come up with a come up with a better movie." They just reshot the movie,
Okay.
but they replaced Isabel Scorupco with a different actress and a few other people here and there. It's a different story altogether than the first prequel,
Mm-hmm.
but basically both of them tell the story of Father Merrin as a young man,
Okay.
as a younger man, on an archaeological dig in North Africa.
Okay.
They basically tell that same story, and it's funny. It's like Stellan Skarsgård is in both of them. It's just which female do
Okay.
you like better? I like Isabel Scorupco.
So I'm not quite sure which one I've seen. Then I'll have to go back and figure out which one I've watched. What? So like you had a really good experience watching the first movie, as you said, right, with your mom in the theaters.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so I didn't exactly have. I'm like, okay, so I didn't say my experience with the first one was okay because I definitely watched it when I was definitely like probably way too young. But the thing is, I watched it.
dude, I was sick. What the hell?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, so we just know each other's tastes, and we're very similar in a lot of ways. And like, but my experience with the first one is that I wasn't scared because of the people who I was watching the movie with, because they've all seen it. They were much older than me, so they were just like tearing the movie
Okay.
apart. So it kind of
Oh,
like
God.
it 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 kind of ruined that first initial experience of it. You know what I mean? And because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, here's this scene, and then they start laughing because of what's going on and everything. So I didn't get that full like horror experience with it. So like I haven't really watched it since then. It's been
You know,
like,
I had the exact same experience going to Disneyland. The only time I ever went to Disneyland, I was in California hanging out with my cousin, and she's married, and so I was there during Thanksgiving, and she doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving.
okay,
And so, you know what they do on Thanksgiving? They go to like Universal Studios or Disneyland or something like that because that's when the crowds are the smallest.
okay,
And so she goes, "Well, we're going to go to Disneyland." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So it's me, her husband, her, and her husband's family. It's like just a party of people. I've never been to Disneyland. I've never been on any of these rides. So I'm like, "Oh, I want to go on. I want to go on the Jungle Cruise."
right,
And her husband the whole time is like, "Oh, he's from California. He's been to Disneyland a million times. He grew up like
uh,
not far from there." And so he's like, "Okay, let's go on the child's ride." Okay, it's not a child's ride to me. I've never been to Disneyland.
right,
I'm in my late 20s. I just want to experience everything that I can.
right.
And
No, I told.
and as the guy's doing the tour, he's like, "Yeah, and see, right." Her husband's like, "And right here is where he's gonna shoot the hippo, and right here is where he's gonna do this," and he's calling it out, ahead of time. And
Oh man,
we're not the only ones on this ride. He's ruining this
right.
ride for like the other 40 people that are on this ride. And I'm like, dude, you're being a whiny bitch. I,
There's a good high chance that there's some of those are first time goers as well. You know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that and the submarine ride at Disneyland. He just whined through the whole thing. And I'm like, dude, you're such a douche. I'm glad she divorced him.
Uh,
I really am.
it sounded like it was kind of like he, yeah, it was like I'm just going to just agree with you on that one. Just like it was just
It's the same thing, though, man. I mean, you're sitting there with your friends watching this movie, and they're just bagging on the movie. So
no,
you aren't really getting a chance to enjoy it, not
it was,
getting a chance to get into the atmosphere.
right. It wasn't even my friends. It was a group of adults. So it was even worse because it was just like it was just everyone who was like well above my age group is just like yeah, and like, obviously like like you have a certain degree of like your vocabulary is much bigger and your understanding of the world is much larger and everything, but it's just like oh man, like this is before I really started getting into horror. So like so The Exorcist was kind of like that first horror. It was technically almost my first horror movie in a way, but it was kind of just taken away from me. So like one of the most like ones I probably should have experienced on a different way. And so I'm
Yeah.
like trying, and I like my way, and I'm like I will never try to take that take that from somebody. You know, like I'm always like, yeah, set like if I know a movie is really good, like set the ambiance, you know, like your experience, like shut off all the lights, watch it late at night, fix you some popcorn or your favorite snacks, just like set a
Get your
good experience.
snacks,
Yeah, just have fun
kick
watching it.
back and kick back and enjoy it if you must, and if you don't enjoy it, tell me about it. That's usually what I tell people when I want to hear why you didn't like it, because maybe it's something in me that I just liked it a little bit more,
Right.
you
Or
know.
like if you start talking with somebody, it may change your views on it a little bit. May like, oh, you may liked it a little bit more because someone explained the scene little differently or whatever. It's just like 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 that's kind of why some people who are that I watch on YouTube and everything, like not within our little group, is just like I've seen people like, yeah, I just hate this movie, and I'm what? Why don't you hate this movie?
Why? I don't
Yeah,
care if you hate it or not. Just
right.
give me the explanation of why.
Like it's not going to change my opinions on if I like the movie or not, but I'm just want to be like, what is what made you not dislike this movie? Just like elaborate a little bit, but don't just like a blanket statement. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I hate this movie. Just like what, like,
I personally don't like House of a Thousand Corpses. I think it's probably one of Rob Zombie's worst movies.
oh, right.
And I feel that way because, yeah, I feel that way because I spent 3 years waiting for it to come out. That they showed the trailer for it like at one point, and they're like, coming soon. And then after 3 years, it never came out. Or it did after 3 years, it finally came out, is what I should say. And then I saw it, and I was just kind of like, okay, I just sat through like 90 minutes of a rock music video. That's really all the first. That's all these. I mean, a lot of the editing that Rob Zombie did in House of a Thousand Corpses is the stuff he does for like Dragula and uh, So Human, Not Human, and stuff, and stuff like that. It's like you'll see our Thunder Kiss 65. You'll see like the band, and
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, there'll be a flash up there of like a stripper, a nostalgia, and it felt incomplete. And I could understand after seeing the movie, I'm like, oh, this is why it took 3 years for this damn movie to come out because it sucks.
So like
You
I
know, the,
I,
the
I will
performances aside,
it right.
I'm talking about the movie.
Right. No, I agree with you on that one. I think it's his worst movie, even though I don't know, Halloween 2 has some it's let's just say it's well put together, I should
Halloween
say.
2 is pretty bad though,
Yeah, but
but yeah,
but I think I'm with you on House of Thousand Corpses. I liked it when it first came out, but then I seen him grow as a filmmaker, and especially after that sequel of Devil's Rejects, it shows you like
yeah.
he knows how to put a movie together and edit it and score it and whatever. And like you were saying, it's too frenetic, and like it's not like
Music video esque, I mean,
I
but
know, like say Natural Born Killers, it's very frenetic as well, but it fits that movie, and it works to that advantage. That's how you do that well, like how it goes from black and white to like here's this random animated sequence and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses just was like just too all over the place. And it was just like I will only watch the beginning of that movie, and then maybe after they get captured or whatever. But then I'm like, I'm done with the movie. It's like it's probably
that
that's
was the
where
other that was the other thing that bugged me about that movie is so the when I read the synopsis of what it was about, it's about four young adults on a trip do, researching a book for roadside attractions.
yeah.
That was the synopsis, I as well as I remember. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, you know. And I thought we were going to get more of a build up, you know. It's
Mhm.
like oh, we're going to go see the world's largest ball of twine. We're going to go see, da da da. and then we'll fall into the trap. No, it's like I don't even know. I honestly haven't seen the movie in forever. I don't know if it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes in. They're stuck at Captain Spaulding's murder mystery museum or something like that, you know. And
It
it's like from
happened.
that point on, it's like,
It
you
happens
know,
fairly
and yeah,
because like the
and
first 10 minutes of the movie is
I
him getting robbed, and then the next 20 minutes or so is the group going through the ride and then going to the house, and then and so it's like 30 minutes. So it takes so there's like a third of the movie right there or whatever. And like it's
yeah
and then the rest of the movie is just being a shock factor for being shocking, you know. It's like, but and it's not even that shocking.
yeah I really do think that Rob Zombie stepped it up when he said, okay, well, I'm going to make a sequel, but I'm not going to make it in the style
Right.
of House. Because to me, I honestly, I don't own a copy of House of a Thousand Corpses. I will never own a copy of House of a Thousand Corpses. I just think it's that bad of a movie that I will just watch Devil's Rejects. I will watch Three from Hell, you
Yeah,
know, and I think Three from Hell was an awesome movie.
I thought so too. I
Not as
thought that,
good as Devil's Rejects, but
right. Oh,
but dude, that's like it's like everyone that talks about Rob Zombie movies. I mean, to me, the pinnacle is House of or Devil's Rejects, and then everything else kind of like falls in somewhere behind it. Yeah.
even the haunted world of El Superbeasto, it's like it's just an animated movie. I think that I mean that's fantastic as well. And it's like, and it's
Yeah,
just kind of humor, and it's like, but it's just like a very adult humor. But it's like it's still, I think, leaps and bounds better than his first movie. Like, which kind of sucks to say because a lot of people's favorite movies is that movie. But it's like, but I can understand. Me and you are on the same page. It's just like it he has gone on to
I'm
make.
not. The sad thing is that a lot of people can't divide can't divide the filmmaker and the musician, and I can. I love Rob Zombie. I love White Zombie. I love Rob Zombie as a solo artist. Okay, no problem. But I
Mm,
have no problem saying his first movie was crap. You
oh,
know,
I agree.
because I expect as much hype that was exploited upon us at the time. Rob Zombie's a horror fan. Rob Zombie knows all horror stuff. You know, he's gonna make when it came out. I'm like, okay, oh, this is it. This is the this is the modern day like kind of Hitchcock type thing because Hitchcock was a fan of mysteries, you know, and stuff like that. Rob Zombie's a fan of this. All right, what? This is what we're getting. You know,
I no, I think if it was played a little bit more straightforward, like Devil's Rejects was,
yeah,
I think it would be much. I think we would probably like it much more than we think. It's just, yeah. I mean, there is moments within the House of Thousand Corpses like that. I mean, we obviously wouldn't have Devil's Rejects without it, so we have to have it. Um,
yeah.
but but I'm like I will like you said I will just watch Three from Hell and Devil's Rejects and just call it a day and just be like this is where it starts and it's like and
Yeah. I
um
will say this though. Have you ever watched? I mean, so when House of Thousand Corpses came out, I never saw it in the theater. I saw it on disc.
same.
So I rented the disc out. Okay, so you've seen. I don't know if at the time, but that you saw it, but at the time that I saw it, the disc had probably one of the best interactive menus ever.
Yeah, yes, I have a copy somewhere. I think it's at I think it's at my mom's like where it's like you got Spalding, Otis and Baby just playing around in the background and stuff like that and making when you make selections they kind of chastise you for like picking the options menu or whatever.
Well, if you don't make a selection, is even the best.
Yeah.
So it's got At the very beginning, it's just Captain Spaulding. He's like, okay, butt wipe, make a selection, and if you don't make a selection, he's like, come on, you. You're expecting him to say the same thing again. Come on, you butt wipe. You're expecting him to say that, but he's like, listen here, you, and then he just starts cussing at you. Make
Right.
a selection.
That's
And
when
if you
DVD
don't, I
were good.
didn't, I didn't make a selection for the longest time. He's like, and then he just goes off on the deep end on you, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is
Right.
better than the movie.
So like, so me and you follow on
So
the fact that we don't like the movie, but like, so
yeah,
uh, I think we may be on the opposite spectrum. Like, did you enjoy Exorcist Believer? Like, I know a lot of people
oh
didn't.
yes,
I know a lot of people didn't like this movie.
yes, and I don't understand why. I mean, I don't get it.
I thought it was really good. It took me a minute. I'm like, I wasn't quite sure if I liked it or not, but I'm like, as the more I think about it, it's just like, it was just like, okay, it's really good. I thought it was good. And it was like, I liked it. It had a little bit more of a crime element at the beginning of the movie, like, where's the missing girls and everything.
Right,
Uh, and
I really
then,
dug that.
yeah, like, I'm like, oh, this is a nice take on that. And I liked how the mom, I can't think of her name, from the first movie shows up.
Oh yeah,
And
Ellen,
then,
yeah, Ellen.
yeah, spoilers, by the way. And then we got another big, huge cameo
That,
at the end of
yeah, just there's
that's
another thing to look forward to.
right. And because I know this is part one of a trilogy, so I'm wondering where this is going to go.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's
I
supposed to
did
be.
not know that this was going to be a trilogy. I just thought, oh, they just came up with a really cool story.
No,
I
this
didn't
was,
know that.
yeah, it's been this is part one of a trilogy from what I remember. I don't know if it's that way now, because the director has stepped away from the directing duties.
The director backed out. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I heard, that this was supposed to be like, it, like, they actually had the names already picked out for the next two movies, and I cannot remember them. But yeah, it's supposed to be
Okay.
like a whole. So it's like, this is just like, because I knew that going into it, so I'm like, okay, so we're setting everything up. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with, like, what transpired in the movie, like, um, with, like, the priest, and maybe we go back to where the earthquake happened and everything, or just,
Right.
you never know what's going to happen in the next movie. But it's just like, there's potential to be, like, to revisit some stuff. So
I really like this movie. I'll say this. I mean, I like the crime part of it about the girls missing and all that. But it took me probably 20 minutes to really. I mean, from the minute the movie started, about 20 minutes to really get situated into the movie to where I'm absorbing.
right,
To where I'm really interested because I'm sitting there watching this. I'm going, okay, well, I'm going to watch this movie no matter what because I bought it, you know. But so I need to watch it all the way through. But so I'm sitting there, I'm just going, okay. Where's the? I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the creep factor to kick in. Is what I'm
right,
waiting for, because Exorcist, the original Exorcist, has a real creep factor to it from the beginning. She's messing with the Ouija board, and you
right,
see the face of Captain Howdy and the up in the vent. It's only for a second, and that alone gives you that
right.
creep factor. I'm waiting for the creep factor to kick in, and it took about 20 minutes for me for it to
Yeah,
finally kick in. I'm going, okay. I'm not scared, but I love feeling unnerved.
right. See, I went into this, like, really not knowing much other than like the brief description that Peacock has said. Like two girls go missing and once found, they
That's the description on the back of the
oh
Blu-ray.
is it?
Yeah.
So and so
Yeah, so I had the same.
and and so I'm like, okay, so like it's gonna be like, I'm like, okay, so but I'm like, and I'm kind of honestly, my favorite thing about this movie is you don't really show them being possessed, like, or like you don't see that
You
that
don't.
moment in the
Yeah, you
movie,
don't see the moment where they take over.
right?
Right.
Like, I think they do. Aren't they doing something with candles in the woods or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't
Right. The
get the,
girl wants to talk to her mom.
yeah, they don't do the full, we don't get the full treatment of it, and you just get like that's why I'm like, oh, we're going to probably see more of it later on, or whatever in the next movie or something, to the kin or whatever. And so I'm just like, okay, so I like that, and I really like them going through the woods and everything, but like obviously this movie is like centered around one set piece of the whole movie. It's like, what'd you think of the exorcism itself?
I love the fact that it was a different take on it.
Right,
So
same.
in the original, it's, hey, we need to go to the we you have Father Karras, and Father Karras gets hold of Father Marin, and and all the and Father, what happens to Father Marin, and then Father Karras takes so all this, and it's like very, very theological, very, very in your face with religion. This felt like it wanted to do that, but it didn't want to push it down your throat like the original did. They
Right,
kind of they kind of held back on the strings a little bit, and they brought in the the voodoo, hoodoo, what I don't know what you want to call her, the witch doctor, um, the she's Haitian, or she's either Haitian or Creole. I don't remember which one, but she comes in and she's like, "This is how we do things this way." And so I love the fact that there was a different kind of exorcism, because you still had a priest there, but he wasn't going, "You're doing the devil's work." He was like, "Okay, let's all get together and do this. Let's save
right.
this girl."
Yeah, and I liked how it was like they were like back to back, and you had one set of parents on one side, and then you got the other, the dad on the other, and then I liked them. The moment I really liked on that, the exorcism is like the demon or knows he's been beat, and
Yeah,
so he like choose, and I'm like, okay,
that
so
was the ultimate creep factor right there. Choose.
and I'm like, okay, but I'm like, I know who's going to mess this up, because they were leading to the dad of the of the one of the girls, not our main
Yeah,
dad, but like he wouldn't take his shoes off. He's kind of skeptic, and he's being resistant and everything. And then like, dude, I know you're going to be the one who messes this up. Just like, but how are you going to mess this up? And
right.
then we obviously he messes up by choosing, and it's like, and then they're like, oh, they tricked us, and so, and it's like, oh, and then we see what happens, and it's just like, okay, like that was nice. And like the demon lost and won at the exact same time. It's just like,
Yeah,
I like it, and it wasn't exactly a
yeah.
happy there, so it was just like, it
That was
just
the other thing that was awesome about it. There wasn't a happy ending. I mean, yes, you have a win and a loss, but it wasn't a happy ending. I love the fact that they brought in, the mother from the original.
right.
I Dude, the
And
original film came out 50 years ago. 50, 50, right? And
yeah,
so, well, no, I have to say this, man. The person that played the mother, she's older, but but that's it. She just looks older. She
Yeah.
there are people that fugly up as the older that they get. I mean, you look at like a Robert Mitchum back in the 50s. You know, he's a halfway decent looking guy. You look at Robert Mitchum in the remake of Cape Fear, right? Because he was in Cape Fear in 1962, and he was in the remake as the judge, and in the Robert De Niro version. Dude, he's so fuglied up. I mean, it's just sad. You know, it's like it's years. It's like 30 years later, and he just. But she didn't. Man, she's still hot as ever, and she's like in her 70s.
Yeah, I was just like, oh wow, she looks better than most celebrities. Like, like she actually looked like she was like took care of herself. Like
Yeah,
like the lifestyle didn't get to her. Or the movie business didn't get to her.
right.
And I'm like, oh no, and like then and then I loved how I forgot the name of the demon. I know it's not Pazuzu.
It's
It's
not Pazuzu.
yeah, it's
It's another
they
demon. Yeah,
right. Um, and but they somehow they knew who she was, and I'm just like, oh, I love that. And it's just like, and I like how the demon was kind of like taunting her, like, you want to know where your
they
kid is and everything, and just like,
no, they actually use that. They use that line from the original, and I love that. That was one of the
oh,
things I love. Like, oh my god, they said cunting daughter. They
oh
said,
wow.
you know, and I'm like, that is so cool. The callback to the original, you know,
See, I'm gonna have to rewatch the.
I love
Like
that. That was just so.
I think enough time has passed where I could probably set the environment to watch that again and like still like, okay, this like at least get some of the experience back to give it back to me that was taken away from me. Um but yeah, like, so my only thing I didn't like about this movie was that I wished it would have incorporated the dad's photography skills, because he was constantly like the way he has a like a way, I don't can't remember what it said, or like to me it just feels like he was able to like see things that other people wouldn't be able to see, or like his pictures would have illuminated something that would have shown um like
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're going with that. I never thought about that, but I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, maybe like he has a filter that shows like the demon hanging around or something, or something like, you know. But yeah, that. But here's the thing. Um, I'm trying. It's a lot different with digital photography than it is with straight on photography, like from the 70s and 80s. You know, back then you could get
right.
away with like, hey, put a filter on it, and or you know, you could find a way to adjust the film and all that. With the digital photography, you're just taking a digital image, like what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
and it's
go ahead.
more manipulative nowadays. You can manipulate it more with digital filters and
Well,
stuff like that. And people, and I think the reason they did that is like they're like, you know, all that is just filter blah blah. You know?
no, that was kind of like another thing. Like they could have used that as kind of like a way, like, oh, this is just, like you said, it's fake. It's like because they're using more modern photography and everything instead of like using actual film for the camera. And it's just like, yeah, I just would have liked to have seen just a little bit more of that because he was so protective of his
Yeah,
of his wife's picture and everything, and it just and the way he would look at stuff and view things. I just like, oh, like maybe he took one snapshot of it could have been just a quick scene, like he took a snapshot of his daughter, and then like and he developed it like at the very
yeah,
end of the it's like it would have like shown him like something kind of like lingering around her. It's just like but just That's what I
Well,
would have
yeah,
done.
I get that.
It's not even like it would have
I
destroyed the movie for me, but it's just like, oh, it'd been nice to see
no, no,
that. But
no.
like,
I I I, I get that. The thing I guess with me it was that they didn't really. I think the reason they didn't really need that shot is because of the relationship between the father and the daughter.
yeah,
I mean, this was a very loving relationship, and they showed that at the very beginning. And the minute that the girl came back, she was just being a total butt snatch to her dad, and
right,
you knew something was off, something was wrong,
right.
And so I mean, I get what you're saying, but I just, I mean, I don't think it would have been necessary because we knew something was off. I mean, she picked on her dad at the beginning of the movie,
Hmm.
I mean, just out of fun, and at the part where she comes back, she's not picking on him anymore. They're not having a good time, and he's going, something's wrong. I know
So,
something's wrong.
so what was it? So my ultimate creep factor in the movie was when they were in the bathroom and the light kept flickering and you saw that brief image of her in there before it went dark. And
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so oh, and I was watching it down here with the lights off and everything, and it was like, oh wow, like okay, like that's when I really started like getting. I mean, I was into the movie, but that's when I was really into the movie. That's when it really
Right.
and I was like, okay. And then from there, it was like her like being possessed and everything, like progressively getting worse. And then even I like the scene in the church, like because it was like how would you respond to this, and especially and I like the priest or the pastor or whatever, and
Right.
and just kind of like just like what's going on, and like at the same time like something's up, and it just like I just like this movie. Like I thought it was really good. Like I don't understand why people didn't like it. Like yeah, I mean I think people are like putting I think this one got a lot of hate over more some of the other ones more. I feel just because I think maybe it's because of the director. He was like attached to the Halloween movies and everything.
I think okay, that could be part of it. I still haven't seen the last Halloween movie.
Okay.
I'm I'm working up to that. I bought the Halloween 2018 at, I think it was on Black Friday or something like that, for next to net, like $5 or something like that. And then I found Halloween Kills at a pawn shop on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, okay. So I got the first and the second one. And then I just got Halloween Ends on the last Black Friday for like next to nothing. It was like $6 or something like that off of like Amazon. So I'm like, okay. So I'm into this for like $12 for like three movies. So that's like $4 a piece.
Right.
I've seen the first one. I've seen Halloween Kills. I haven't seen Halloween Ends, but I do want to just sit down one day and just watch all three of them back to back. And I haven't done that yet because I've been watching a bunch of other stuff. So, and I just know it's going to be me. I'm going to be that one person that goes, it's not that bad. I mean, they can only take the story so damn far.
So okay, so I kind of fall into that camp. Just I'm not going to say anything. I don't think it's
You fall into the camp that it's bad.
no, it's not that bad
Oh, okay.
because like yes, there are things about that movie that um are just downright terrible, but there are things that I'm like, okay, that's not that bad, and or it's like, okay, I liked how they do this, and then or like this is actually pretty nice and everything. But like I think I don't want to say anything, but like but I will say this is that if they would have um if they was really thinking about this as a trilogy as it was originally announced, they should have uh planted seeds from the third movie in the first movie. Just I'm just saying that right there because there are things that happens in the third movie that don't make any sense if you have watched the previous movies. Like you'll understand once you see it, but it's just like,
Okay,
but
that's
it's just like,
something to look forward to discover the seeds that you think they should have planted.
yeah, because
And when I
like
do watch it, we'll sit down and talk about them.
for sure, like we will definitely have to, um, because I'm actually very curious at, because okay, so I kind of perfect segue here. Like I told you I had like a surprise for you.
You
So
did. I had to wait like 2 weeks.
yeah, so it's not that big of a surprise, but I wrote down 10 questions for you, to kind of like the
Ooh, I like
it's
this.
yeah. So we already covered the last one because I thought like, what's your thoughts on the new Halloween trilogy? Because I wanted because since you haven't seen the third one, we'll definitely save that as a future video. And so once you see the newer one,
Okay, okay.
so okay, that was question 10. That was my segue into the review. Which but so we got three different kinds of I group. So we have 9 questions. The first three are kind of like you can only keep one. So
Okay. I'm
I'll
good
give
with
you
that.
2 movies, and then you're gonna be like, you gotta choose one. Then the next group is just who's your it's like you like who's your whatever, and the final three is just kind of just general movie questions. So
Oh,
okay,
dude, let's do this.
okay. So the first group of questions, like I mentioned, is you can only keep one. So can
Okay.
you Goonies or Stand by Me? Which one do you keep?
Stand by me.
Same.
It's not that I don't like the Goonies. It's that
Right.
when Goonies came out in 1985. I was already an older teenager,
Okay.
so it doesn't affect me like it does other people that discovered it. You might have discovered Goonies when you were 13 or 14,
I
but
yeah.
I it came out when I was late I was like 17, 18 when it came out, so I just didn't care.
Got you.
But Stand by Me is a Stephen King is based on Stephen King's book The Body, which I'd been reading at the time, so I keep Stand by Me.
So that's what I was thinking as well, and I was like trying to figure out how like why like my justification for it. Like you said, I love the Goonies. Like there's moments in the Goonies that I absolutely love. Like Chunks, like his
Yeah,
like
his
his
dance.
yeah his stuff and like him like melting down and telling that sobbing story or just like the booby traps and just like the whole cast of characters is perfect. But Stand by Me,
Yeah,
I like.
don't get me wrong. I like the movie The Goonies, but it never attached itself to my DNA like Stand by Me because it was a Stephen King film.
Same. Like that's kind of like how so I was like trying to figure out like how would I like like how I said justify it. Like I'm like, okay, so Stand by Me to me feels like a like yes, it is a Stephen King story and everything, but like I'm like what like I think it's more of a Rob Reiner movie than it is a Stephen King
No, no,
story.
that's very true. I knew the kids in Stand by Me. I mean, not Corey Feldman and Will
Y-
Wheaton, but
Yeah,
but as a kid growing up in the Pacific Northwest, and both those movies take place. Well, uh, the Goonies is filmed in Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah.
The Goonies house is in Astoria, Oregon, which is right across the Columbia River from Washington, which is where I'm from. And Stand By Me, the train trestle scene takes place in Oregon.
That's funny.
You know, so but growing up in the Pacific Northwest, which probably has nothing to do with it, but in the '70s, I knew those kids. I knew the weird little kid like Corey Feldman's character that no one really wanted to hang out with, but he was part of our group. You know, um,
Right.
I knew the little fat kid that wanted to, that he didn't bury everything, but he was just a little nuisance to have around from
Right.
time to time. You
He just
know,
had, yeah.
yeah. So I knew these kids. I connected with these. It's like I saw both those. I saw the Goonies at home on VHS because a friend of mine was like, actually the little fat kid from our group loved Goonies. He was like, "Oh my god, gotta watch Goonies again." Yeah, okay. Um, and Stand by Me, I saw in the theater. I saw it and I just was like, "This is it." I have an older brother. The most of the characters had older brothers. Their older brothers were all friends. My older brother had friends that that were friends with the friends in my group. So it was very very DNA esque.
Right. No, I like you said, I'm a little bit more on, like, I have a little bit more of my DNA with Stand By Me. Like, yeah, I know, like, I I can never relate to go and find a pirate ship full of gold, but
Yeah, but you
but
can't. The only thing I gotta say about that is like every kid has this. Every kid goes on an adventure.
right. That's what I was getting ready to go with. Like Stand By Me, like I'm
Yeah,
from a town, very small town. It's very like it's full of cornfields and woods and everything, so there's not much to do. So you just go and just play in the woods, or you blow stuff up, or
right
what, or
across the
just,
street from. Yeah,
yeah.
right across the street. It's like in my neighborhood. There's a house. This is the house I grew up in. This is the house next door. This is the house next door. Then across the street was a house here. Behind them, all woods. House over here. Behind them, all woods.
Yeah.
Over here were the main woods, and it was just everything. It was that we tore up. I mean, one of our neighbors used to ride dirt bikes. He was
Okay.
older than us, and he went out there one day with his Yamaha, and he's just tearing the hell out of the place. By the time the day was over, we had a motocross track in the woods because he
Funny.
just he just tore up these little berms with his bike, and all that. I mean, it was had to be about half a mile to do one lane to do one lap. You try doing that on a BMX bike.
And I think I don't mean like me, like I'm part of, I think I'm part of the last generation that had the freedom to go out and do stuff with,
Right.
like, just
I
like,
know.
hey,
Yeah.
we'll be back when the street lights come on, that kind of attitude.
Exactly.
And that's what basically what it was. I would leave for hours on end and go just walk around town, and even when I lived in a bigger city, I would still, like, out I go, like the world was not as terrible as it is. I mean, it still
Well,
was
you're
terrible.
part of Generation X, right?
I'm technically a millennial because I'm 89.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
So I'm
Well,
like,
that would be Gen Z, right?
I think so. Yeah, we're like, it's like Gen Z. I think, or Y, or is Y next? I
Or
can't remember.
Gen Y. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Gen
remember.
Y.
But yeah, but we're like, I think we're just part of that last group that actually was able to, like, we were like right before the internet, and like still before the world, like everyone was like out to get you, you know. So
Yeah, I was just talking about this last weekend, and I'm a Gen Xer. The cutoff year for that is like 1983, I think is what it is. But yeah, I drank from a hose.
same.
You know, you see these things on Facebook all the time. I drank from a hose. I came home when the when the street lights came on. You know, there was through those woods. If you went into the woods from my neighborhood and you walked straight through them, on the other side of the woods was a rec center.
Okay.
And so I would go hang out at the rec center, the recreational, we just call it the rec.
Yeah.
Um, and we would just hang out at the rec. And it's like after, whether it was after school or summer or whatever, and my mom would be like, okay, well, just be home for dinner. Dinner was always at 5:30. And there was a clock in the lobby of the rec, and I could look up and that clock would say 5:28. It only takes me like 2 minutes to walk through the woods. I'm home, but I
Mm.
knew I had to be home at 5:30, you know. Jump my bike over I don't know how many different things,
Well, see,
built a ramp and
we didn't have that in my town, but what we had was probably a killer basketball court. Like it was chained in. It was,
okay.
and we had it was a nice nice blacktop or concrete, whatever, a court and everything, and it was nice. And that's where I hung out with my friends and playing basketball and everything. It was really nice because on one side it was the tennis court, one side was the basketball court, and there's a chain link fence between the two with a door going between the two, and it was just like it was nice. And there was a it was on school grounds, so it had a gazebo. So if we just wanted to go like hang out over there, so I was outside, I
Yeah.
kind of being outside in that regards, but and that's kind of why I like to Stand By
So
Me.
the
I
rec
just
the rec center had a tennis court, like you said, chain
uh
link in, like you said. Right next to it was an outdoor half court, for people that just wanted to play, like,
uh,
didn't want to run the whole. Inside the rec center was a full court. Now here's the coolest thing. It was a full court and they put down carpet.
oh
Uh, and so the whole court was carpet. And it had the markings for the foul lines and everything. It was all, it was orange and black, if I remember right, because it was the color of the
oh
basketball, you know, and so it's like the foul line and where the half top was one color, and then the center. It was a full court basketball court, just with a carpet making up all the markings. That
uh,
same rec center is where I used every Halloween we would do a haunted house there.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, like the basketball court we played on, we it was a full court, but we only used half. Like we
Yeah,
just played 21 or like, and then
21 or how horse or
yeah, like, depends on how many was up there. It's like, but yeah. So okay, so we both agree with Stand By Me. Okay. Um,
yeah.
there's I'm like, I wanted to like not pick like obvious ones like are you Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to pick some like good ones. And so the next one is we're going to go with Patrick Swayze movies, Roadhouse or Ghost.
I can't stand Ghost, so it's Roadhouse.
Oh, really? Okay.
I I think Ghost and the one about the hooker, um Pretty Woman are like two of the worst movies ever made.
Oh,
You know, the movies don't make any sense to me whatsoever. It's like, okay, Patrick Swayze dies. They go see Whoopi Goldberg. She pushes a fucking penny up the wall. What what's she gonna get out of this? She's not gonna have sex with a ghost because, well, he's a ghost. So I mean, all she gets to know is that her husband is somewhere in the afterlife. Big whoop. I've just wasted 2 hours. And Pretty Woman, she's a hooker. He's paying her $5,000 to to have her for like a week or something like that. Dude, she's a hooker. There's no way on God's green earth any guy is going to fall in love with a hooker,
Well, it's
and then
but,
say, "Hey, let's start dating." It's a whole
Richard.
different thing if you start out with the. It's a whole different thing if you start out with a woman that becomes a hooker and you're already in love with her. But if you're just paying her to be your escort, he's not going to spend that money on you. And it's Julia Roberts. She's not even that good looking.
I've never been a Julia Roberts fan, regardless. So, like, I never I didn't like Aaron Brockovich at all. And
I like
like,
Aaron Brockovich, but I like the story compared to who was in it.
I like the story. I do like the aspect of like the real person, like doing what she did. But
But have you ever seen the real Aaron Brockovich? She looks
no.
nothing like Julia Roberts.
So okay, so we're both in agreement. Like I like Roadhouse. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
own.
Um, I liked Roadhouse. Here's the funny thing: I liked Roadhouse when it came out. I thought
Okay.
it was a pretty kick-ass movie. And I've seen it over the years. And I mean, yeah, it's got Terry Funk in it, which is cool, and it's got the giant Bigfoot in it, which is cool. But over the years, it seems like it could be me getting older, um, but it just seems like the more you watch it, the more you go, eh, it's an okay. It's not the great movie it was in 1988
Right.
when it came out, 87, 88.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
it's an okay movie, you know.
So like, I own it, and it
You
sits on.
you bought the VS. You bought the VS, didn't you?
No, I think it's. I haven't
No.
bought, but I bought the when it first came out on Blu-ray. Uh, I
Okay.
bought because and it currently sits on my Kevin Smith shelf because Kevin Smith does a commentary for that movie. Yeah, and
There you go.
all they do through the entire movie is they just replace Dalton, or they replace Chuck Norris with Dalton, and they just do Chuck Norris jokes through the whole movie, and where they talk about the movie.
Oh,
But it's pretty funny. It's
that
him and
that would
Scott.
be worth listening to. I like
It
that.
it's really funny. Okay, so I didn't realize you had that strong feelings about Ghost. I love it. And or Pretty
I
Woman.
just yeah.
Uh, so here's this one was tough. I was trying to think of like we got kids, we got kind of like Patrick Swayze. Now we're going to go to two people who have worked together on several movies. We got Kurt Russell and John Carpenter. Which one? Which
Okay.
one? Big Trouble in Little China or Escape from New York? This one's tough.
That's easy. No, this is easy.
Oh yeah.
And you're missing a movie, by the way.
Oh,
There's three movies.
yeah, The Thing as well. And
Actually, okay, you're missing another movie. You're missing the
Elvis.
fourth movie, the Elvis movie. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
This is actually easy for me. This is another one of those things where I sit in the minority. I will take Escape from New York any time of the day over Big Trouble in Little China. It's another movie where I saw as a young, I mean, it came out in 83, 84, the Pork Chop Express, Kurt Russell, and all that. And I get it. They're having a good time making fun of kung fu movies and stuff like that. But it didn't click.
Oh yeah.
It did not click with me. Yeah. So I mean, Escape from New York. Yeah, dude. I'd take that movie 100 times every
This.
day. And I'm not knocking Big Trouble.
No, I get
It
you.
just did not. It just didn't click with me. You know.
No, I
So
get.
I'll take.
This one was tough for me. It really is because I have strong connections with both movies because I watched one with friends and I
And
watched
you
the
watch
dad.
the other with your
So
dad.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
kind of had like so it was tough because like I had fun watching Big Trouble with my friend. Two drastically different kind of viewing experiences, but like I as much as I love Big Trouble in Little China, I'm with you on Escape from New York because I like the grittiness. I like
Yeah.
I like
It,
the like yes, Snake Plissken. As much as I love Jack Burton, Snake Plissken is the more iconic character. Um, and like it's like and then I like the ticking time aspect of it. Like, is it a bomb in this one or the flu?
uh, no, in this one it's the flu.
Okay, uh, right because the next one you have to put the things in his neck in L.A. Um,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it's like he was slowly like coughing throughout the movie. Okay,
But
it took me. So yeah, and I just like
don't get me wrong. I mean, uh, Big Trouble. Big Trouble has some iconic people in it. A lot of
right,
iconic people in it. But Escape from New York has Lee Van Cleef,
right.
Isaac Hayes,
As
Adrienne
what
Barbeau,
Donald
and
Pleasant.
Ox Baker and
Oh,
Donald
as
Pleasance. And Ox Baker's
the wrestler at the end, right?
the guy he wrestled, the guy in the wrestling ring,
Yeah. Um.
the guy he puts the spiked
Right.
bat in the.
Oh, and what's his name? The skinny guy from is he from in this one? Alien from God, I can't think of his name. Um, the older is it or is he in the second one? I can't remember. I can't think of his name. It's bugging me now. He plays
Everybody's in the second one, so
yeah one of the crew member one of the mechanics in the first Alien movie. Um,
oh, Harry Dean Stanton.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he is in the first. I think he is in Escape from New York.
so
Yeah, and the woman that he meets in the chock full of nuts.
yeah,
That's Kurt Russell's wife
yeah.
at the time.
Oh, have you listened? Speaking of commentaries, have you listened to the commentary for Escape from New York?
With Kurt Russell and John
Right.
Carpenter.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
Yeah, I have listened to that one.
yeah. They
I have a
point that.
special edition version of it
Oh,
on
same.
DVD.
I have the one that has it comes with a little comic book, like a little mini comic book.
Yeah, on DVD.
Yeah,
Yep, that's the one I have.
cool. So we both agree with Stand by Me, Roadhouse, and Escape from New
Escape from
York.
New York.
Okay, so
Okay.
the next group of questions is I think we made the last one. I'm not quite sure if you've seen, but or so that one is. I was trying to think of like who like big long running franchises in a way. So, who's your Batman?
Who's my Batman?
Yeah,
Michael Keaton.
Keaton as well. That's
Michael Keaton is my Batman because I mean Adam West is Batman as a kid. As a
mhm.
kid, Adam West is my Batman because that was it. That's all I had for Batman was Adam West. Um, but as a young adult, or as a man, Let's put it that way. Michael Keaton was the first Batman, so Michael Keaton is my Batman.
Same.
You know, I mean, theatrically released Batman is what I'm trying to say. You know, I mean, yes, there was a Batman '66 movie, you know, but again, that's Batman '66 is my childhood,
Right.
and then Batman, the Tim Burton film, is my adulthood.
Well, it's like Burton is my child because it's '89 Batman and the
No, I get
'93.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, like Keaton. I think Keaton is like one of the he. I don't know for like I know him being announced as Batman was quite the controversial
oh,
choice.
dude, I it was, you know, I hear this all the time, and I don't remember being as controversial as all that, but I do remember hanging. My buddy, I knew a guy. I actually knew a kid that was still in high school at the time that owned a comic book shop. He owned a comic book shop, you know, and
Yeah.
so I would go down there and I would get my my Green Arrow comics from him. And you were talking, I'm like 20 now, you know, but that was the only comic that I collected because Green Arrow took place in Seattle, and I'm from Washington. So,
So,
um, but yeah, you'd hear the guys down there talking, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Michael Keaton is going to be Batman. They're going to screw this up," you know. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I remember thinking, I don't know. I think Michael Keaton could do it, but when you thought about it, it's like at that time, Michael Keaton was basically known for Night Shift with Ron Howard movie with him and Henry Winkler,
yeah.
which is all comedy. He's known for Gung Ho. You know, he's known for. I mean, the list was like basically here's Michael Keaton. Let's put him into a comedy, and you're thinking, can he do it? Well, I'm glad they chose Michael Keaton because Michael Keaton proved that he was more than just a rubber chicken man.
Right. Like more than a Mr. Mom or
Yeah, Mr. Mom. Where's mommy keep the extra diapers?
no, like like to me, looking at all the Batmans, I think he's the more balanced Bruce Wayne and
He
Batman
really is.
because like Val Kilmer, I think he's a great Bruce Wayne, but he's an okay Batman. And then Clooney,
Right.
kind of the same. He's a good Bruce Wayne because he has that suave and
He's got
charisma.
that suave. He's got the dashing looks. He's all
Right.
put together. But yeah, Batman is just kind of, you know.
And then with Ben Affleck, I think he's a better Batman. And then Bruce Wayne, and then same with Christian Bale. He's a better Batman than a Bruce Wayne.
Christian Bale sucked as Batman. Christian Bale sucked as Bruce Wayne.
So yeah,
My problem with
go ahead.
my problem with Christian Bale is so when you look at Michael Keaton is maybe 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, 185 pounds, let's say, on the heavy side. You know, okay, no problem. That guy looks like he could be a little intimidating. George Clooney, same thing. You know, Val Kilmer, same thing. You get to Christian Bale, and he's 6 foot, but he's like 140 pounds wet, and there's nothing intimidating about his Batman.
Right.
Nothing.
He didn't have he's not I hate to say it, but he's not he doesn't have the broad shoulders like some of the others do.
He's not built right. And even if you throw the foam latex suit on him, he's still way too skinny to be Batman. Batman's like, oh, I chose the name to be Batman to how do they state this? They state it in a few times. It's like the emblem of the bat is to put fear into the heart of villains.
Yeah. Because
right?
that's what
There's
I
nothing. There's nothing fearful about Christian Bale, even though I do like Batman Begins,
see. Like,
but that's
yeah,
only
like,
because the Scarecrow's in it.
and like Killian Murphy or Cillian Murphy. Yeah,
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 however you
like,
say his freaking name.
yeah, I like the Nolan Batman movies, but I think but I still think Batman Forever is still better than the Nolan movies. I
Yeah,
like Batman. I if it wouldn't like I think like I like Jim Carrey's performance as the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones, he was kind of miscast, but I do like his energy on
I
film.
I
Uh,
kind of like Tommy Lee Jones's Two Face. I
no,
mean,
I
but
like. Yeah, he may be like. I like what his
he was over
presence,
the top Two Face. He almost felt like Cesar Romero's Joker
you're
or
right,
Frank Gorshin's Riddler in
and
a way.
I like. Obviously, I knew that's what they were going for because of like how dark Batman Returns was, and they kind of needed to kind of lighten some things up, you know. So I get all that,
Yeah,
and with Clooney's Batman, I'm like I I he's okay. Like I think he's okay. He's not bad. He's not good. I think he's just
I loved Chris O'Donnell as Robin though.
oh yeah. And then we got then
Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. I thought that
so
was cool
I thought that was
too.
I thought she was great too, and I didn't hear about the story about her and until like almost like maybe like a couple of years ago, I think, or whenever that story broke, or really started getting some traction. It's like how they thought she was too big or whatever for the role
Yeah,
or whatever. I'm like, God, like oh my God, like really, like it's like I think she was good as Batgirl. I and I do like the whole, and I do like how they continued. Like it was kind of campy, and Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and everything.
that's
Like
Mr. Freeze.
I mean, I don't have the disdain for those Batman and Robin and
No, neither do I.
I I I will watch them all the time. I have no problem watching
I
it. But like
I
that's why I'm like
I
Clooney's
will
okay.
watch. I will watch the Tim Burton movies, and I will watch the Kilmer Clooney movies, and I will watch those before I watch the Nolan movies.
Same.
And
Like
the dumbest thing ever is I actually own. God, I own. So in two different contests on YouTube back in the day, I won the Christopher Nolan box set, right, which had everything from Memento to I think Interstellar at the time.
okay.
So all the movies that he made, right? And on a different thing because I both times I'm going for something else, right? On the second contest I won the Batman Nolan trilogy box set.
Okay.
And you could see them when you're watching, when you're watching videos in the Doom room, they're off to they're off on this side,
Okay. Which one do you
you
have?
know.
Like two or three
I
different
have
versions.
both of them.
Okay. Like mine's
Uh,
black with a silhouette of the bat.
the Batman. It's it's just a box set that's black with the like looks like it's got the look of the cowl on the front of it,
Okay. That's the one I have too. Okay.
you know. Um and then I wound up winning the special edition cowl version of
Okay.
The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, that's cool.
The plastic one,
Yeah.
it looks complete like the face and the back open. Like, oh my god! So I have The Dark Knight Returns three freaking times. I don't even. Or no, it's the dark. It's the dark. It's one with the Joker. The one with
Dark
I
Knight
have that
Returns.
three times. Is that The
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns?
Yep. That's it.
But all from contests. that I won, and I was like, the reason I got the Batman trilogy is because the person that won it. So because one of the movies is rated R, the person that won it was under 17, and he couldn't
Oh,
give the he gave the he gave that guy he's like, I'm gonna buy you something else. It's gonna be he had like 10 prizes, and
okay,
you had to fill out an order, in which order, which thing would you like the most.
okay,
And so he had 10 winners. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, they got to my name, and it's like by the time they got to my name, I was like number 8.
okay.
You know, I'm like, oh well. So I got Firefly on Blu-ray,
Oh, nice.
and and um and then he also sent me because I really didn't want Firefly on Blu-ray. Um, it was just kind of like at the bottom, and he also sent me the Dark Knight thing. He goes, I'm also going to send this to you because I can't give it to the person, because I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Since then, I've given away the Firefly on Blu-ray to a girl that I went to high school with who loves what I tried. I watched that series when it was on. Again, it didn't click. I know a lot of people love Firefly, but it didn't click. And then when I got it on Blu-ray, I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch it. Maybe years later I will like it. No, it's just to me, it's a bad. I understand why that show got canceled and why no one watched it. I mean, there are people that are like, "Oh no, this is a great show." It's like, no, dude, it really isn't. Watch it. It's it's all over the place. It's not really that well organized.
Yeah, I don't have the connection with it like some people do. So, speaking of sci-fi, okay, so this last one, I don't
Speaking
know,
of sci-fi,
I haven't seen or anything like that. But who's your doctor from Doctor Who?
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Oh, okay. Mine's Matt
We're
Smith.
we're we're, we're going original Doctor Who. I haven't seen any of the new stuff.
Okay,
I
so
haven't I haven't I haven't seen when they rebooted it and they brought in, oh, what's his name? I know a couple of their names.
like Eccleston, that one.
But no, that's not the one. But some of the newer ones I recognize, like Matt something. I can't think of his name.
That's my
Uh,
doctor, Matt. Yeah,
okay.
you
Oh,
got
Mads Mikkelsen was a Doctor Who.
Eccleston. He
Oh, okay.
played Destro in the Cobra in the GI Joe movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, him,
Yeah,
David.
Tom Baker with the floppy hat and the freaking scarf.
Yeah. Uh,
Floppy hat man, you know.
so yeah, like mine's Matt Smith. Just
That's
because
the one, Matt Smith. That's who I was trying to think of. I
he's
knew I did know that name.
he's my favorite. I like his stories a lot. Even though I think some of the more iconic stories are with David Tennant and but
That's the other name that I knew.
I think just Matt Smith. I just like him. I just his doctor is just like I like his vibe, you know. So but I do like Peter Capaldi's um uh doctor because he's a little bit more grumpy and it's a little bit dark and it's a little bit more mature and everything.
Have you
Uh
ever watched like the classic episodes, like with David with Tom Baker and Putri and
no, I have not had a chance yet because I think they were on Netflix for a little while, but I had a friend from high school and she's like, "Hey, you should watch Doctor Who," and I started like you need like I you can start from like this season and like where they rebooted and then that's when I got hooked and I just haven't made my way back to the thing to the like the first incarnation because eventually I will.
yeah.
I just haven't got that far yet because other things just keep getting in the way, you know, like uh my journey through X
Tom,
Files.
Tom Baker Tom Baker was such a honestly since you haven't watched any with him, he was such a goofy person.
I've
I mean,
watched.
he really made watching Doctor Who fun. Doctor Who for me. So before cable, there was PBS, and my brother and I, the redheaded monster, um, we would sit there and we would watch Doctor Who. It was like the one thing that my brother and I actually we're complete opposites, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people have siblings that say, oh well, we share this music or we share this opinion. Or my brother and I, we couldn't be further apart. I
That's
mean,
how.
there's nothing wrong with it.
That's how me and my sister are. We are like we are polar opposites.
Yeah, I mean, I'm left-handed, he's right-handed. Look at that. Um,
She's a girl.
no,
I'm
but
a guy.
yeah, no, but it was just weird. But in all fairness, I mean, I have said this before to friends. Um, he's my older brother. I don't know about your sister. Is she your older sister?
Nope, I'm the oldest grandkid out of everybody.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I am the first of the first. Like other than the parent. Like I'm the
So
first.
you are a bigger influence on your younger sister than you think you are. Because I'm the younger of the two.
Okay,
And I've said this. It's like, so growing up in the '70s, my brother was 3 years older than me. So when he was 15 and listening to stuff like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and the Allman Brothers, I was I was 12 and I wasn't really listening to that music or any music. I mean, it wasn't that it hadn't become that time yet for me to really get into my rebellion.
I got you.
But the following year, 13 or so, I'm like, okay, well, now I'm listening to Kiss and AC/DC and but I'm also listening to Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers. Why? Because this is the music of my brother.
Got you.
I'm listening to the Who and going through his record collection trying to find the song Teenage Wasteland. You know, Teenage Wasteland. Well, it's not called Teenage Wasteland. And my brother loved the fact that I didn't know that. He's like, "No, it's in there. It's on this album. It's on, who's next or something, whatever." And he's like, "It's on there. I tell you." Looking through it, I was like, "No, dude. There's no song called no. It's called Baba O'Reilly,
Right. There's
which is which is
that's one of
never said in the damn song
that's
whatsoever."
what I love. That's one of my favorite jokes from Freaks and Geeks. Like Seth Rogen is talking to Cardellini's character or whatever, and she does the exact same thing, and he's like, it's Baba O'Reilly. Like she's like, what? And it's like the song is called that, and she's like, oh, okay. Like that's one of my favorite jokes from that show, just because I knew the joke, I knew beforehand the actual title of the
Yeah,
song
but
and
we're
everything.
complete opposite. We're complete opposites. But he was more of an influence, not knowing that he was an influence. I was so when the '80s come and I'm listening to Guns N' Roses and and Motley Crue and Iron Maiden and all that, all these metal bands. I'm also listening to, like I said before, Skinner and the Allman Brothers. And I would say to my buddy Joe, I'd go, dude, we need to throw in some Skinner or something like that. And he's like, dude, I don't like country music. I go, it's not country music, it's Southern rock. He's like, he didn't get it. He's the older brother in his group. So you're you're going to influence. You probably influence your sister in ways you didn't know, and she's going to carry it with her for the rest of her life.
I don't know what I've done to her, so like that's yet to I don't know what her like. I don't know. She like. I I know I don't even know what she likes. Like I know she likes sports, or what she played a lot of sports, and I I liked watching them, but I other than that, I'm not quite sure. So I haven't really like me and my sister. We never really like we were like when I say polar opposites, it was every sense of the word. So it's like we definitely hung
Yeah,
out in
same
different.
with me and my brother.
So yeah, like
But I'm just saying,
I will have to think hard on
I'm
that
just
question.
saying there might have been there might have been a time in your life where you're like sitting at home listening to House of Pain or something, and you're not knowing it, but your sister's like, two doors down, going, I can dig that. You know, happened to my buddy Joe and his little sister. He did not know that we didn't know for the longest time that she was a metalhead, and she's like, well, yeah, you guys are like listening to Iron Maiden. I'm just listening, like, you know. So there's an influence there that you don't know is there, but it happens.
I'll have to. See, after I get off here, I have to go get ready to go have a big family dinner, which she's going to be at. So I might have to like do some investigating. um.
Yeah,
So okay. So the next three questions. So okay, Me and your Batman is Michael Keaton. Oh,
Michael Keaton.
I totally skipped over the. Okay, our doctor is yours is Tom Baker.
Mine's Tom Baker.
And mine's Matt Smith. I don't know. I skipped this one. So, who's your James Bond? This may be. I
Roger
was trying.
Moore.
Roger. Oh, okay. Mine's.
Roger Moore.
Mine.
The one that everyone picks on, you know.
Yeah,
Sean Connery is a cool Bond. Um, and George Lazenby would be he was Bond only once, and
right.
but Roger Moore, dude, I mean, he's the '70s, early '70s to early '80s Bond, and I've seen every Bond movie in the theater from Live and Let Die up until the last Bond film. Uh, I did not see that in the theater. I missed it because of COVID. Um, too Never Too Young to Die, or Too Young to Die, or whatever the hell the name of the title was. So the one
Okay.
before that. So I seen all the Bonds in the theater up until fourth the fourth Daniel Craig movie. But
Okay.
Roger Moore, I just think Roger Moore had more of a suave carry to him, you know. Uh, uh, Connery was cool, but he seemed a lot of times it felt like he had a stick up his butt. Really did, you
So
know.
yeah, I can see that. Like no, like Connery is not on my he may be like down. He's on like he's kind of like at the bottom of my list. I think I like the Roger Moore movies a lot because uh like James Bond was never part of my movie watching um thing or repertoire until I was babysitting for my sister, and I'm just like I was like you don't have to pay me this round, but I would like for payment this time, buy me this big box set of James Bond movies. It was like it was up till right before Spectre came out, but so it had a spot for Spectre when it came out. So I'm like, okay, so I'm like, buy that box set for me and we'll call it even. And so she bought it for me, and I held on to it for the longest time. And then I was getting ready to go. I was about to move, go move out of state to go live with a friend for a while. And me and my dad did a Bond day, a movie, or a James Bond movie a day before I left. And so I got to watch them all in like a month span because there was like what 23 at the time, so it was perfect timing. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay,
something like that.
and so it was like, okay, I like the Sean Connery movies. They were fun, but I liked the feel of the Roger Moore movies. Even though
Yeah,
the the Pierce Brosnan movies, Bonds were my Bond movies, but I like
Pierce
Timothy
Brosnan
Dalton.
did an awesome job as Bond.
Right. Oh, I thought I loved GoldenEye and no like I liked all his movies. I thought his Bond movies were great because I liked the use of the gadgets and he and Brosnan was supposed to be take over. He should have been Bond like during when Timothy Dalton was Bond. I think he was doing what was his show that he was doing that got picked?
Remington Steele.
Yeah, that's it. And
Remington
and
Steele.
yeah, and so I'm like, okay, but I like, so like, I think Timothy Dalton. It's really kind of a toss up because I really like Timothy Dalton. I like his Bond was a little bit more, a little bit more darker, but I do like Roger Moore.
Yeah.
But I think but mine I have to be I this may be controversial, but I really like the Daniel Craig movies. He's probably my Bond is Daniel Craig. Um, I think it's because
Oh, nothing wrong with that. He'd be my number two.
I absolutely love Casino Royale. I like that's probably my favorite Bond movie. Just because I like the poker scene at the movie, the baccarat or whatever, or the Texas Hold'em or whatever you play.
Yeah.
Uh, I love movies that make the most boring aspect of things so exciting, and I'm like they made that card game so fun to watch, and that's what and I like this Bond was a little bit more agile and
Okay. So if you like that, you need to grab a piece of paper and a pen and write this down. There's a
okay,
movie for you to watch.
I'm all good.
The movie is called Kaleidoscope.
Uh, my spelling's terrible, but okay, okay, got it.
The movie's called Kaleidoscope. It has Warren Beatty in it. It's a long movie.
Okay,
It's long.
perfect.
Warren Beatty owns plar, a card playing. You know the he owns a company that designs the backs for cards.
Okay,
For playing
yeah,
cards, and he he breaks into his own card company late at night to design the backs for these playing cards that are going to be shipped to casinos in Europe.
okay,
And he's on the back is there's a certain way that he's had them marked, so he knows
okay,
what's coming up. And they're playing it's not Hold'em, it's Baccarat,
okay.
which you see in a lot of Bond films. Baccarat is
Right,
basically you have to get to the number 9 and not go over. It's basically 21, but instead of it being 21, it's 9.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
because like that's like when what was it when Doctor No came out? It's like oh he's not playing baccarat, he's playing poker or whatever. It's like so it's like because
right?
I've read Casino Royale. I'm working through those books. But yeah,
So
like
he designs this back so he can see what's coming up, and he's got a pair of glasses that are like the glasses have a what's the word I'm looking for, like kind of like a microscope type lens in them,
okay,
rather than it's not showing anything that's unmarked. It's just magnifying the
okay,
mark that's there.
okay.
And it's a really weird movie. Um, so
I'll have to.
so check it out if you get a chance. I think they show it on TMC, Turner Classic Movies when every now and then.
Okay, so it might be on HBO Max then because they have a Turner Classic Movie section, and so I'll look it up.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
sounds good.
Kaleidoscope. It's a really weird.
Because
So
like
yeah, so Roger Moore's my Bond, you know.
uh, I like
And I do remember my two of my first crushes were not just Bond girls, but two of my biggest crushes back then were God, I can't think, Jane Seymour from Live and Let Die
okay.
and Barbara Bach from The Spy Who Loved Me. It just turns out that Barbara Bach is married to Ringo Starr. What the hell?
All right. So, like I'm so okay. So the next three questions are just kind of like just general movie like general movie questions. So
Yeah,
what's an underrated movie that should get what's an underrated movie for you?
underrated movie. Ooh, wow. I don't want to sit here and go. Let's come back to that one while I think about it. So what's the next question?
Okay. I'll tell you mine real quick. Mine is Space Truckers.
Okay.
I don't think that movie gets
Yeah.
enough love. I know they just like I think last year they did a new release on Blu-ray, but it didn't do. I don't think it didn't really set the world on fire. So I'm like, okay, but I really like that movie a lot. Um, it's like Stuart Gordon, he did it and everything. I thought I liked it. Has Dennis Hopper in it and Stephen
Yeah.
Dorff. I like that movie. I thought it's just very underrated for me. What's your favorite movie prop?
Favorite movie prop. I asked a question similar to this when I was doing when I was doing the questions on my channel.
Okay.
It's like if you could own any movie prop from any movie, what would it be? And it was a top five question, and so
Oh,
I came up with five things. But just thinking about it, the cane. If we're going with my first thought, it's going to be the cane from the Wolfman.
oh,
You know,
that's really good.
um, because yeah, I mean that the so I kind of remember. I think I did it. One was horror and one was non-horror, and then like the non-horror one would be like the syringe from Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
You
that's good.
know, it it's my favorite scene in that movie. I can miss like 90% of the movie, and if I'm flipping to the channels, I'm like, okay, they haven't got to that scene yet. I think it's one of John Travolta's best scenes in that movie. He's sitting there talking to Eric Stoltz, and Eric Stoltz is like, okay, so you got a breastplate, and you got to come through the breastplate real fast because it's so thick. And he's like, okay, so you got to come down in a stabbing motion. I got to stab her three times. No, you don't got to stab her three times. The
Just get
minute he asked that question, I'm like, I love that. That is the best Tarantino writing right there. I got to stab her three times.
yeah.
No, you don't have to stab her three times.
I
You just
know
got
you.
to get through. You just got to get through the breastplate. And he's like, okay, I need a felt tip. I need a magic marker. No one knows what the hell a magic marker is because
Like
no
I felt
one's using this term in 1994.
right.
A
Like
felt tip pen,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. Because magic markers, I mean, that was basically what they were called in the 70s. So kind of tells you how old Vincent Vega is,
No,
you
it's from
know.
I call it a magic marker just because I that's just because I hung around my grandparents all the time. So and
There
that's
you
what they
go.
so it's like so okay,
That's what they
my movie prop is like it's like you said it's probably it's subtle. It's not like some outlandish thing like a car
right,
or
exactly.
I want something like it's something that is like very like meaningful to me. And to me, like the movie that changed everything for me is Jurassic Park. So I would like to have the Barbasol can, like, and it's like it would like the one that you could be able to open up and have the little
The
DNAs
one
in
you can
it.
screw the bottom off of. Yeah,
That's what because
that's a really cool.
that movie came out what like 93, 94, something or not.
Nine, 90, 92, 93. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So I was like, so I was like, depending on the month, I was 4. And so that movie was pretty intense for a 4-year old, you know. So, but
Yeah,
my mom showed me a making of, like no, it's like this is all fake. But it's just it's a movie. It's like nobody's actually dying on screen or anything like that. And like from there, it's like the world has changed. You know, I view movies totally different, and like, oh, this is like there's people behind this camera, you know, and so that's why
my
Jurassic
my
like
mom did the same thing to me with horror.
okay,
So when I was a kid, when my brother and I were kids, we were allowed to stay up on Friday nights and watch, Nightmare Theater with Joe Toey, aka the Count, as the host. He was our local host. He was on Channel 7. God rest Joe Toey. Um, no, he passed a while ago, but yeah, I mean he was he was a really goofy count. He went, hey, welcome to Nightmare Theater, and we were allowed to watch this with her, but we weren't allowed. If the minute we got scared, we had to go back into our bedrooms and go to bed.
like
And my mom told me the secret to watching a horror film. And the secret is the same thing your mom showed you, but she told me this. She said, so we're watching something like Tarantula, or something like that. And she goes, "You see that guy there? The guy that just died?" Like, yeah. He goes, "Well, next week he's going to be in another movie and he's going to be the good guy." You know, and it's like it just blew my mind. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's all movies. It's all." I mean, I knew they were movies, but I mean, she just kind of like took a 5-year-old's eyes and said, "Now watch." You
right,
know, now you can enjoy the movie.
right,
You
like
know,
yeah, I don't want to like say that I never got scared ever again, but I'm just saying like it just like I viewed them a little bit more differently. That's like I'm like because I was still like 4 or 5, whatever. It was just like I was still like even though I understood that oh that's a movie and no one's actually dying and stuff, but it's just like but there are still movies that are out there like oh like Predator, you know that movie. Like I should have been watching that movie when I was a kid, or RoboCop, you know, or you know, like like I'm like this like there's not an actual cyborg running around Detroit, you know, but it's just like,
right, right.
but it's just the fact that it was
I
just like it or
even after my mom Even after my mom said that to me, I mean, I got freaked out by one movie, and that was Race with the Devil. And I've told the story before a gazillion times too. And it's because of, like I was saying earlier, we lived next to woods, and at the time there were rumors that there were Satanists in the woods, you know. And so to me, Satanists in the woods and Race with the Devil, I mean, they see a bunch of Satanists in this movie sacrifice a girl. So that movie, I was 8 when that came out, and I saw it at the drive-in, and so that movie freaked me out. Found out later that Satanists, the Satanists that were in our woods were hippies.
that's funny.
They weren't sacrificing any goats. They were having free love.
They're out there much fun, you know. um,
Yeah,
okay, what was did you think of an underrated movie or
man. I it's probably. I mean, I thought of an underrated movie. I'll just say what I'm thinking, and it's Victory. Have you heard of it?
It sounds familiar, but
So it's got Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone,
okay.
and Pele in it. And it takes place during World War II.
Like the soccer
And they're
player pay.
all the soccer player Pele. It takes
Okay.
place in World War II, and they're all prisoners of war,
No, I'm not.
right? Michael Caine's the
I'm going to have to write this down too.
and Michael Caine is yeah. They're prisoners of war, and they wind up basically it's the longest yard,
Okay.
but soccer. They wind up
Oh,
setting up a game between uh, the the German soccer team,
okay.
professional soccer team, and these prisoners. And Sylvester Stallone plays the goalie. He really wants to become a member of this team, and Michael Caine doesn't want him to be on the team because he knows that the only reason he wants to be on this team is because the prisoner of war players are getting better food, they're getting better lodging, they're getting all this,
Okay.
right? And he wants to escape. And Michael Caine's like, no, we're not going to have you on. But he does find up winning him on the team. It's one of this movie was on in the 80s all the time, and it's one of the most odd movies with such an odd cast, but it's good. It's a really interesting film. You
All right.
know, it's a World War II soccer movie.
All right. I have. All right. So I have two movies to watch for the next time we do this. Okay. Um, so the last of the
Victory.
in
Yeah, just
Kaleidoscope. Yeah.
Kaleidoscope. Yeah.
Okay. So number 9. Our final question is: which movie would you want to see again for the first time?
That's a good one.
I've been thinking about this one for a while.
I've
I
been
it
I've been lucky. The guys over on Wicked Horror Show, they tease me about my age, right? Kevin in particular, and I love Kevin. Don't get me wrong. It's something that I always thought was funny. He's like, yeah, but you're like, you were around when dinosaurs roamed the earth or something like that. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you could say that about me, but I got to see all the cool movies in the theater.
no
So
like
it's a
that.
thing.
That's kind of why I'm very envious of my dad, because the movies that he's showing me are all the movies I would love to have seen blown up on the big screen, but I got to watch them on a decent sized television at home. But it's like,
Right.
it's not the same experience. Like that's why, like here lately, I've been going to the movies and seeing the older movies. Like I went
Well,
and seen
yeah,
Christine.
every now and then, like Fathom
Yeah.
will do like a special. I got lucky, and a few years back before COVID hit, they showed a Psycho in
So
the
I missed.
in
I I see. I am kicking myself so hard because my theater was going to play. I missed the week where they played Reanimator. I
okay.
was so mad. But then the next week, I missed the first 2 weeks, and they played Reanimator and They Live, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what? How did I miss these?" And then I got to see Christine, but I'm just like, "Oh man!" Like, I would have been at the movies every Sunday because that's usually those special events were on
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. They usually run on Tuesdays and Sundays or something like that. It's
Yeah,
like the one day during the week was always what it's like. So I do it on a Sunday, and it's like, yeah, I saw Psycho in the theater. I actually did do this. To answer, I saw Jaws again in the theater. Now, I saw that in the theater when it first came out as a kid. Um, what movie would I like to see again for the first time? Man,
My
that's a
dad,
really good question, Max.
my dad has take. I've gotten to see some like my dad took me and my sister to go see Grease when they re-released it, and obviously I got to see Star Wars when they released it in '97 and stuff like that. But like, I'm just thinking like I'm trying to think of like the movies I've seen at home, and like this, you can also interpret like
Right.
what movie in the big screen, but like same, but I'm just like just trying to think of like, oh man, like what kind of experience would I like to have seen again for the first time in a different like on the big screen, or just to see if I would like it like at this age or whatever. Um,
Well, a movie that I'd like to see again, and if I could see it for the first time on, for the
yeah,
first time
we'll
again,
we'll add that
but
little.
but but I'm going to put myself in the theater
Yeah,
instead, and just watching it at home.
all right, yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning towards, anyways. Like, what would you like to see on the big screen for the first time again? So we'll leave it at that one. That's the real question.
Okay, I have
Um,
two answers. One's the Blob with Steve
oh,
McQueen,
that
with
okay.
Steve McQueen,
That's a good one.
and the other one is also a Steve McQueen. I've always been a Steve McQueen fan, and that's The Great Escape.
Oh, that's a good one too.
I'd love to see that on the big screen. I've seen that movie, seen both those movies thousands of times. You know, I don't own the Blob on DVD or Blu-ray, and it's because Criterion owns it, and
Okay.
it's like $900 or something like. It's
Oh,
not
wow.
that much, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
Criterion title, and so
a little
it's
pretty.
yeah, it's ridiculously priced. So I don't. I know that there are times they're like, oh, well, you can go there and get it for like half price at during their during their sale at Barnes and Noble or whatever. It's like, but I always forget about it. This is why I don't own it.
Same.
you
Like,
know?
so I'll give you two. I'll give one horror and then one non-horror.
Okay,
Uh,
sounds good.
my horror one is I would love to see Dawn of the Dead on the big screen, like
Now we're talking
the original.
Romero or Snyder. Okay.
Original, yeah, the original one. Ramiro's, yeah. And it could be either. It could be any of the versions. I wouldn't mind seeing like the 2.5 hour version of the movie. Um, but I would just like to have seen it on the big screen. And for my non horror, I would have to go with something I never got to see. Probably Clerks. I like to see that in
Clerks. Okay. I'm
because Clerks.
surprised. I mean, hasn't he re-released that in theaters over the years?
No, like
No.
no, I don't like. He has he's been doing his movies again. He recently bought a theater, and he's been doing that. He's been replaying his old movies in theater like that way. But I don't think he's from at least from my understanding or my like
I
following
thought
like.
like for the 10-year anniversary that he re-released it into theaters again.
Oh no,
So it was what,
but I
2004.
I never got to. I never was aware of it. But yeah, those are the two. Just because I just be fun to see my all time favorite movie on the screen, big screen for the first time, and I just like zombie movies. I think seeing zombie movies in the theaters hit differently, and with it being Ramiro, it would be pretty cool. Because I've only
Right.
gotten to see one Ramiro movie in theaters, and that's Land of the Dead. So I would like to have seen like one of his earlier movies, kind of like, and it's shot on 35 millimeter can't film, right? So it would look like
Yeah.
fantastic, blown up on the big screen. So, But I will have to
So I've seen.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh, I was going to say I do
I
have an
have seen.
go ahead again. Okay, I do have an honorable mention. It is
No, go
Sharknado.
ahead. Go ahead.
I would like to have seen this on the big screen. I was in
I don't think it
Florida,
was ever. I don't think it was ever released in the theaters.
so here like they released the 10th anniversary in theaters on the week I was on vacation, and
Did they?
they did it very sparing. Like it was like very few theaters had it, and I just happened to be close to one, and I'm just like, oh, do I go see Sharknado on the big screen? And but I like I couldn't justify leaving Ariel and Arlo at the hotel for me to go see a movie. I'm like, so
Dude, it's
uh,
Sharknado. Of course you can.
so
are
eh,
are you call them up and you say, come down to this theater and we'll all watch Sharknado together? You
right.
know.
No, like we all went to Florida together, so like it's like I couldn't leave him at the hotel, and like it just he was still pretty young at the time. He was still pretty young, so like
Oh
I
yeah, that's true. That's I'm gonna be that person. I'm the person that hates babies in theaters.
oh yeah, I wouldn't like I'm like I couldn't bring him in the theater, and Ariel. We ended up watching Sharknado 2 on Sci-Fi because they were doing the 10th anniversary like marathon that week, and so or that day. So I managed to catch Sharknado 2 on the TV while we were in the hotel room, and I was like, and I was giving Ariel the hardest of times. Like, guess who's about to show up? Like, guess what? Chris Jericho's about to get eaten by a shark, and blah blah blah. And she's like, oh god, and she just, you can hear her eyes roll from like a mile away. It's just funny. Like so.
So
Uh,
you're basically doing to your wife what your friends did, or what the people did to you when you watched The Exorcist.
yeah. So, but the thing is, she will never go back and watch the Sharknado. So, like that's
For
why I'm
your
like,
good.
yeah. So, okay.
Uh, honorable mention. Um, hmm, I like that. So let's go horror. Honorable mention that I'd like to see for the first time. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Hammer. I'm gonna go with the Horror of Dracula with Christopher Lee. Never
Oh,
seen it in the theater, and I think Christopher Lee makes a creepier Dracula.
I think so
You
too.
know,
I've seen a few like a few of the Hammer Dracula movies, and I just like the look of Christopher Lee as Dracula.
yeah, yeah. Those are good questions, man. I like that. But
So
yeah,
and then it was like every time we do this, I was going to come up with like basically more questions to kind of like, keep this kind of same outlet of or outline of
getting to know us.
yeah, that's basically yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, basically. So I'm like, okay, I just kind of keep the conversation going, or like, so um, well, I have to get ready to go here in a minute. I have to go get ready because I got a little bit of a drive ahead of me. But final thoughts on Exorcist Believer.
Exorcist Believer is a must see movie. I think it's nice that it's in a way. The nice thing about this movie is that they didn't discount this. It felt like they didn't say anything about the stuff that happened after the first movie. They didn't talk about the heretic or Exorcist 3, but they didn't discount it. They
Right,
didn't say it didn't happen.
right. That's
You
I was
know,
reading up. I was done,
I mean, and
but yeah, that's I
and
agree. It's
I
like,
do think it's a must see follow up.
and I like how it's not like when they put it in the same universe, they didn't really beat it over your head with it either. It's just like, yeah, it's in this universe, and there's more than one demon that's kind of floating around, and then like some people have already gone through this, come back to help, and so it's like it's not really like hurting the original. At the same time, it's doing something brand
Right.
new. So,
I remember
alrighty,
someone on Facebook. Remember someone on Facebook said they were talking about the movie and they're one of the things they disliked, and I'm like, did you watch the movie at all? But they're like, the one thing they disliked was the fact that they brought back. They go, well, they brought back Ellen Burstyn, and she's not even playing the same character, and it just felt like cheap, like a. And I'm like, did you watch the movie?
yeah,
I actually, I'm like, she's playing the same character she played in 1973. She's playing Chris McNeil. She's playing the mother of Reagan McNeil.
right,
And I go, this isn't a remake, and that's what they were trying to get at. Is like, oh well, this is just a cheap remake. I'm like, it's not a remake. It's not a reboot. This is a sequel.
yeah. It's just
You
there's
know,
things in universe like it's, and I'm good with that. Like it's like if like you don't have to watch anything past the first three or past the first one, but it's not going to
right?
just take anything away from any of the other movies. And I do like how it was like still kept with like I like how the children are kind of like the focus of the possession, and the parents are kind of like helpless in some in some aspects, and but I like the dad in the new movie, and he actually seems very competent. He doesn't seem like he's dumb or anything like that. He's just like he's
Right.
actually.
He just
Oh, that's what I was trying. I knew I had this in my mind. I liked how he kind of kept composure through the entire movie. And then there was a moment where he was talking to his daughter, like why she was possessed and like tied up and everything. He said something, and it just like threw him off his game. Like, yeah, it kind of she finally broke him, And I'm like, oh yes, like it was the moment right before she
yeah
flung him across the room. He was actually maintaining his like composure through the whole movie. He was like, even when she was missing, he was like the voice of reason with the other parents and everything. And like, of course, like he was doing some like when he would rush to the hospital and stuff like that, but like for the most part he stayed like calm, cool, and collective. And but like that moment, like the demon got to him, and so I'm like, yeah, like that's awesome. I like that touch.
yeah, it's definitely. I if I was to give this stars or thumbs up or whatever, chainsaws, um, because that was always my rating system was chainsaws. I give it, I'd give it three to have chainsaws out of four. And this is definitely something from with your rating system is kind of like I would definitely. I mean, as long as you, I would say watch this with friends, but the friends have got to be into horror.
Yeah,
They,
I
they,
had
they- it's not like, oh, let's just get a bunch of friends around. I want everyone to experience that's going to take it as serious as I am. If not, I'm watching it by myself.
that I watched it by myself, and so I had with what was it, the Evil Dead remake. Um, I went and seen it with a bunch of friends who didn't take it as seriously as I did, and they were kind of laughing at some things. Like, yeah, like they're like Evil Dead is always kind of has tongue firmly planted in its cheek, um, but
Right.
there there was just some things where like this that moment wasn't meant to be taken as funny, but they were just like it was just like they're like they just like I'm like kind of took me
They're
out of
just
it. But so I was like,
yeah.
you like
That's
have
why I say that.
Yeah. So yeah. So alrighty. I have a couple movies to watch for our next time. Hopefully, I will like we'll get to it, and I'll think up some more questions for us to. I had I I'm like,
What
go ahead.
what would your I mean, what would your rating be for this
Oh,
movie?
my rating is definitely three. It's definitely more than average horror because of the exorcism part. Because um, like they did some things in with that exorcism I've never seen before. Like you got to see the like kind of like the essence of the demon kind of come out of their mouth, and at the same with like then they
Right.
use like that mixture of the smoke to kind of fight it for a moment,
I love
and
that.
and then it just I can't and then the pre like I like spoiler like the when the priest comes like kicks the door in essentially like I'm here, let's do it, and he immediately just gets killed, and I'm like I'm like now
I
running.
wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
It's like okay, like backup has arrived and backup failed or to a point, and so it's like
Yeah.
so
There's Batman, there's Robin, and then there's the other guy.
yeah. So
This
but
is
yeah.
why it's only known as Batman and Robin because the other guy died on his first mission.
Right, you didn't get out of the bat cave. So yeah, I definitely gotta go now. But thank you for doing this.
All right.
I'll definitely come up with nine more, or I'll because the 10th question was about the Halloween trilogy. Like, what's your thoughts? So we'll definitely
We'll
have
get to
to,
that one.
yeah. So I'll think of a fresh set next time.
I
So
like it, man. Those are good questions.
cool. I enjoyed coming up with them. I had some backup ones, but I'm like, I'm like, you know what? I'll save those for another day. So,
I
um,
was gonna say, just the backup ones should be part of the next one. You know,
right,
um, I love the fact that like some of these questions you're like, well, these are gonna be tough, and I'm like, no, Roger Moore, just
yeah,
boom, just answering like that. It's like, oh, okay, Tom
right.
Baker.
Well, it's like I was asking, like, oh man, like, because I'm like, if I would ask somebody else, it may not have like, I don't know. I was like, I don't watch Doctor Who. That's too kiddie for me, or it's too cheesy. I'm like, what? That's well, to me, that's the charm of it, you know. But it's like the
I haven't
early,
watched any of the new stuff, but I won't. But like the 60s, 70s, and 80s stuff I've watched, and so
uh,
okay.
so
But
yeah,
you have to go.
yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go get Arlo ready and then meet my rest of my family for some Mexican food. So
And ask your sister.
yeah, I'll try and uh, do some journalism while I'm there, some investigating.
Yeah, just ask her straight up. Have I ever influenced you in any way that that has kept with you?
Right,
Whether it's movies, music, books, what? You know.
I will. Well, I'm truly like not quite sure like what. So like it's a good question to ask her. Hopefully I'll have an answer for the next time we do this. So thank you. I
Take
am the
care,
one
man.
MSJ Max for short. You can find the 13th Wolfman everywhere, right? Based at that name.
You can find me on YouTube, the 13th Wolfman, Twitter at the 13th Wolfman. Well, I don't really go on Twitter anymore, or X,
Yeah.
Tumblr, 13th Wolfman, the Prowl, and yeah, I've been cleaning up the Doom Room lately, and so I haven't been making a lot of videos, and so I'm now. Before I would be like, oh my god, there's stacks here and stacks here and stacks here. It's now walkable, so I'm gonna get back into the shooting process again.
Oh, cool. Look, I always I'm like I can't wait for that day to see. Oh, he has a new video out. I can't wait. So, but I understand cleaning up. I'm like, as you can see, I'm not in my normal corner of my room. I'm kind of like
Yeah,
in my sitting area of the basement. So, man, I'm like, I kind of like shooting here. And so it's like you can
it
see my feet in the back and
it just it got to the point where I knocked over like so many stacks of movies, like so many times. I'm like, dude, I need to just spend a day or a week or a month or however long and finally put some of this stuff into the bookcase that's in my closet, you know, and
Yeah.
and I'm still working on it. Yeah, it's now walkable. That's the thing.
Understand that.
You know,
So, alrighty. I will see you on the next episode. We'll figure out we'll try to get more
we'll
of a.
figure out. Yeah,
So, all right. See ya. Thank you all. And as always, the only way I can end these videos is thank you, and I'm going to go geek out.
as always.
And